It's time for Political Buzz, the television forum to discuss politics and issues of interest for all of Western New York. Now, from the WBBZ television studio at the Eastern Hills Mall, this is Political Buzz.
Hello and welcome to Political Buzz. I'm John DeSciullo here. We hope that you are enjoying your summer, as are we here at WBBZ TV. We're at the Eastern Hills Mall, right next to Macy's, our studios. The impact of war and conflict in the Middle East has taken a toll on tens of thousands of lives across the country and here in Western New York. The hardest stories that I've ever had to cover are those with families who have lost loved ones gone way too soon. The Cote family is one of those families. Jonathan Cote was a U.S. Army vet who was taken hostage along with 4 others while working as a private security contractor in Iraq back in November of 2006. He was held captive and missing for 523 days before his body was flown home to Buffalo in April of 2008. Despite that loss, Jonathan's family stepped up to remember him and help others in our hometown with a special memorial motorcycle ride and fundraiser. I caught up recently with his brother Chris to update us on the event and share his personal story. So Chris, talk to us about your relationship with your brother.
I'm the older brother, but not by much because we're less than a year apart. We pretty much grew up together. We were pretty much with each other all the time because we were brought up in a military family. So my dad was a Marine. So we moved around a lot. And so every time we moved, I always had a friend, thank goodness. So I wasn't too worried about making friends too quickly. And I always had someone that I knew with us, with me.
Right. In reading an article we talked about just before the interview in the Washington Post, it talked about how adventurous your brother was.
Yes.
And really lived life to the edge. Was he always like that?
He always searched out an experience. He always tried to make the best of every situation, and he always tried to maximize his enjoyment of people, whether he was doing something or, he just really enjoyed absorbing as much as he could out of life.
What was the motivation for your brother to first serve in the Army and then go back as a private contractor?
It's funny because he was all set to go to college, and if you asked anyone in our family whether I was going to join the military or John was going to join the military, they would have said I would have, and it ended up switching, where John was all set to go to school. He was on his way to work during the summer one day, and an Army recruiter was outside Lafayette Square, and he got John's attention, and he said, "Hey, how'd you like to jump out of planes for a living?" And obviously, John would go for that. So he got to talking with the recruiters, said, "Come on inside, we'll talk about it." Next thing you know, John was signing paperwork and came home and told us, "I'm not going above state anymore. I'm going in the Army. I want to be 82nd Airborne, jump out of planes for a living."
What was the family reaction? Being a military family, I would guess they embraced that.
My dad being Marine was hoping he'd be a Marine, but he said, "Whatever branch of service you want to serve the country, you feel free to do whatever branch you want." So he was happy to have John join, and we were proud of him.
Talk to me about, we in the introduction we talked about what happened to your brother, but what was that like for you in that first moment when you heard of the capture, let alone the outcome?
Well, I was actually just getting done dressing up for a hockey game because I play in a league. My stepsister came in to the Pepsi Center, and one of my buddies was outside and saw her. She was searching for me. She couldn't find me, and she finally found the team, and the guy said, "Can I help you?" And she said, "I'm looking for my brother. I really need to speak with him." So the guy came in and said, "Hey, there's a hot blonde out there looking for you." And I said, "Okay." So I went out, and it was my stepsister, and she was crying. And I was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she's like, "John has been kidnapped." And I thought to myself, "Oh my God." And she goes, "I don't know what you want to do. I don't know if you want to play your game, but we're all going to be at the house." And I said, "All right, well, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to play my game, with my friends here, and I'll be home as soon as the game's over." And there's not much I could do. He's a world away, and I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to be there with my buddies to play the game and do through the whole game, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I didn't play that well. I should have just went home in the first place, but it was just so shocking to really grasp it. And then after the game, I went home. Our family was there, some of the extended family was there, and we were just trying to figure out what was going on and find out what happened.
Well, and that process of trying to figure out what was going on took well over a year, if not longer, to really process, and then of course ending up with how it ended up. But talk about that time, because I can't even imagine as a family going through week after week, apparently getting calls from the government, but as that article went on to say, just sort of placating the family, it felt like.
At times that's what it felt like. It was difficult. At first, because it was John, we had hope, because he's a strong guy, smart, everyone liked him. You had a hard time understanding how someone could do that to him. And even though they did do that to him, we had high hopes that they would let him go. And we weren't sure the policies of how to handle this. So we trusted, the FBI to take care of this for us and to help us through it. There wasn't a lot of information at first. Of course, it's Iraq, so not a lot of people knew what exactly was going on over there. As time went by, you get to a certain point where you have to come to realize there may be a possibility he may not come home. And you just hope that he's being treated as well as you can be treated being captured by people over there. And you just, weeks go by, turn into months, turn into a year, and then more. After a certain point, you just tell yourself, I hope for the best, but it's been so long, I don't know what to do,
Well, then, of course, the outcome and the grief and the mourning process. But now, to keep your brother's legacy alive, you're pulling the community together. And I have to believe on some level, I mean, obviously you're sitting here talking to me about it, and you will at the motorcycle run, but why do you want to do that? Why is it important to you and your family to make this such a public event, to keep your brother's memory alive, when it is such an emotionally challenging thing to do?
It is emotionally challenging. I have a hard time while riding John's motorcycle, because he was a big motorcycle enthusiast. So I inherited his motorcycle, and I ride it at the front of the line every year. And every year I have a tough time. It's a very emotional thing to have to do, is to organize a ride for someone that you've lost. It's a very pleasing thing, yet at the same time it's a very sad thing. It's important to our whole family because we felt that he was such a special person, and to have that happen to someone like him, it doesn't make much sense. And the only way we can make sense of it is to have our community and as many people as we can, because he touched a lot of lives all over the world. I mean, he did a tour in Iraq and in Afghanistan in the Army. I have pictures of him with Iraqi civilians and stuff like that. I'm sure that anyone who met that kid will never forget him. And it's important for us to make sure that he is never forgotten, and that his spirit continues on through the hearts of everyone who get to know him.
Well, and you're also helping others because you have a scholarship for high school students, and you're helping Western New York Heroes. So you're really working on two levels to keep the memory alive, but also to help students with the scholarship. Explain that too.
That would be John's style, is to help as many people as he could. So I kind of took from that, and I wanted to help as many people through John's memory as I could. The scholarship is at Williamsville North High School. That's where we both went to high school. So I want his memory to last there. I want all the students who graduate from there to know about John, to know that someone special went to Williamsville North High School. And I want a deserving student to get some help with college or whatever they choose after high school.
And same with Chris Krieger and Western New York Heroes, because his group helps families who are in situations very varied, from either losing loved ones to just coping with the financial implication of serving in the armed services.
Exactly, and when I was able to find Western New York Heroes, I was really pleased because I was donating to a website and I wasn't sure where the money was going, and because it's our local community supporting, I wanted that support to stay local, and Western New York Heroes helps veterans and their families, and my brother was a veteran, so I think he'd be proud of the fact that we're helping military families.
You started a website when all of this happened, but you've kept it going. Free Cote.
Yes.
FREECOTE.com.
That's it. What's amazing about that website is when we first started it, it was to help free John from his captors, and now that he's been laid to rest, he is free. So the name didn't change, but the meaning did, and I think that's pretty cool.
Well, the article that we were speaking of talked about how your brother mentioned in his 23 years, he said if there was going to be a book written about me, it would be 23 interesting pages.
That's right.
And it seems like there's 23 and then some and more to come.
Yes. Even though his book was only 23 pages long, I want those 23 pages to be circulated to as many people as I can.
The 6th annual Jonathan Cote Memorial Motorcycle Ride and Fundraiser will be held Sunday, August 17th. The cost is $20 per driver and $10 per passenger. Sign-ups begin at 11 a.m. in front of the Williamsville North School on Dodge Road near John's Memorial Tree. The ride leaves at 1 p.m. on a scenic route, rain or shine, and ends at the De La Casa Mexican Restaurant on Ridge Road at Lewiston around 2:30. Now, if you can't ride, you can still show your support and join the motorcyclists at the restaurant. For more information, you can go to this website, freecote.com. We'll be right back right after this.